Alan, what do you make of this move to release grand jury testimony? There are a few caveats to what Trump ordered the Attorney General to release, any and all, quote, pertinent testimony, and only after a court approves it. These transcripts include testimony from victims and witnesses, many of whom might not want their names out.
Well, alleged victims. Let me tell you a story. There's a woman named Sarah Ransom who probably testified in front of the grand jury. She wrote letters to Maureen Callahan of the New York Post saying she had actual videotapes of Donald Trump, of Hillary Clinton, of Bill Clinton, of Richard Branson, all having sex with young children. And she submitted a sworn affidavit to the FBI. And she had to admit she made the whole thing up. So there are probably lots and lots of people in the grand jury testimony and in the FBI report that have made up stories in order to get money. This Sarah Ransom ought to be investigated and prosecuted. She shouldn't be protected. She's not a victim. She's a perpetrator, even though the court has protected her and disclosed this information. I happen to know about it, and I got the original letters that she wrote to the New York Post, but there are probably others like that too. So it's a mixture. There are people who may have been truthfully accused, falsely accused, and let's let everything go out there. But the one thing we can't do is just have the accusations without the information, without the accused, that would allow the public to draw inferences about who's telling the truth and who's not.
So this sounds like a minefield.
It is a minefield. It's a minefield that has to be gone through very carefully. President Trump is right when he says you don't just release information about accusations. Some of them may be false. Look, I have my own experience. I was accused, and then the woman admitted that she may have mistaken me or confused me or misidentified me and withdrew her accusation, her lawsuit. And so that may have happened in other cases as well. So we know that there are lawyers who have profited from this, and there are profited from this, and so we have to be very careful. But I think the answer is to release everything. Everything. From day one, the day I was first accused, I said release everything. I waive all confidentiality, all privacy. Let it all be out there.
Right.
Let the public decide who's telling the truth.
So the grand jury testimony is just a small fraction of the Epstein documents. There are bank records, phone records, surveillance records, flight logs, interview notes, even Jeffrey Epstein's autopsy report. All of that remains under seal right now. Why?
It shouldn't. There's no reason to keep the autopsy under seal. The flight logs have all been released, and they don't show anything incriminating. You know, they show, obviously, people like Bill Gates and Bill Clinton and presidents of Harvard and other people on his plane, inevitably, and his lawyers were on his plane, but they don't show them on his plane with young people or on the way to or anything like that. So we have to be careful to distinguish between evidence of acquaintanceships. I knew Epstein. I was his lawyer. Bill Gates knew him. Fidel Castro knew him. And obviously Donald Trump knew him. But we all terminated our relationship. Most of us did. Bill Gates didn't, but I did and others did as soon as the legal proceedings were over in the first case. So just because somebody's name is associated with Epstein doesn't in any way imply guilt. And so we have to be very careful what conclusions we draw.
There is a move to have Epstein's collaborator Ghislaine Maxwell, testify before Congress. She says she's willing to do it. There are several Republican senators today calling on Congress to bring her in. Do you think she should testify?
Absolutely. She knows everything. I mean, she is everything. I know a lot, but I know what he told me. I was his lawyer, and I can't reveal stuff that he told me in confidence, but there are no great deep dark secrets. But she knows everything. She's known him for, I don't know, close to half a century. She was his girlfriend. She was the one who arranged all the trips and travel of all the people who went to the island, who went to the house, who went to the place in New Mexico, who went to his place in Paris. So she's the key to everything, and there's no reason why they shouldn't give her use immunity, which means she can still be prosecuted if she commits perjury, but she would then have to testify about everything, and she should.
In the meantime, President Trump today is threatening to sue Rupert Murdoch over the Wall Street Journal reporting last night that President Trump, way back in, I think, the year 2000, may have drawn, according to the Wall Street Journal, some sort of racy picture with a funny body note attached to it. This was, by the way, according to the Wall Street Journal, 3 years before Jeffrey Epstein was arrested for having sex with minors. You were also reported in this Wall Street Journal story to have written a note for the birthday photo album. Do you remember any of this? Do you remember what you wrote? Did the Wall Street Journal have its facts straight when it included you in that part of the story?
Well, when they called me, they at least called me. They didn't apparently call President Trump. They called me, and I said, well...
No, they did call President Trump. He denied it to them, but then they went on with it anyway. But they did call him.
Well, what I said is I have no recollection. It's 23 years ago. It was 2002, I think, his 50th birthday, maybe 2003. And I said, send me my alleged letter with my signature, and I will tell you in a minute if it's my real signature. I have no recollection of it. I've, written since that time probably 10,000 letters and, spoken to 10,000 people. And they said they couldn't send me my signature, that somehow that would disclose sources. And I said, no, it wouldn't, please. And finally, I spoke to the Wall Street Journal guy today, very nice guy, and he said he would try to send me the signature so that I can confirm or deny whether it's true. It doesn't sound like me. I mean, it's very clever, vanity, unfair, but neither my wife nor I remember that, and I have a pretty good memory. So it's very possible somebody made up a book and put famous people's names in it with fake letters. That's certainly possible, but it's also possible that I wrote something for his 50th birthday. I knew him. I was his lawyer. I went to seminars. Nobody knew he was doing anything improper. At his seminars with the presidents of Harvard, the provosts, professors, the man who decoded the genome, Nobel Prize winners, everybody looked forward to those seminars once a month at Harvard. And so that was the period of time when Jeffrey Epstein was thought to be a philanthropist and a smart guy who brought it together.
Right. Alan Dershowitz, interesting. President Trump also asked to see the drawing that he was reported by the Wall Street Journal to have made, and was also told that he could not see it. Alan Dershowitz, to be continued, I'm quite sure. Great to have you join us tonight.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.